What's going on, guys? Christian here from TK Wraps. Today I'm going to show you how to wrap the hood on a Lamborghini Huracan 610-4 in Colorfusion Gloss Chalk Gray. This is a cosmetic paint protection film, so it is going to be self-healing, basically impenetrable towards debris, stones, that sort of stuff when you're daily driving. Obviously, if something hits it hard enough, it can do damage. There is a full PPF on this car right here, and there is damage to the PPF that is there. It's a big stone chip on the front bumper. And then just as far as installation goes, it is not perfect. There's debris under the wrap. There's a bubble right over here, and there's a bubble on the top edge right there. This installation, we're gonna be doing more wet apply, or at least on the hood in certain areas. I found that this is the best way to do it. All I've done is mixed in some baby shampoo and water. It's like a slip solution that you would normally use for a clear PPF. Now this does have air release in it, but the air release pattern is extremely tight, which helps create the effect of a really gloss finish in the end, but doesn't let out air as nicely as a wider or larger air release pattern. So, pros and cons to everything. And I find that doing this with a wet apply is the most efficient and the best way to get the best finish overall. My piece is oversized here, but it's basically cut to the size that I needed. I will have to do some trimming across the front of the hood, but let's get it into place. Actually, let's spray the hood down with a little bit of my slip. Cool. And we're gonna roll this out. You can do this as a standard installation like what you would do with PPF, like wet both sides. I'm gonna wet it again just because when I lay the film down right now, the release liner is going to pull off some of the slip solution that I just applied to the hood. Let's just get that into place there. Can't use magnets on this car. Obviously it's mostly aluminum or plastic, carbon fiber, aluminum and plastic. Just double check this side over here. Okay, placement seems to be good. And we're gonna cut off our excess on the front. So that's the end of the hood right there. When you cut the PPF, it's gonna be a little bit funny because it stretches. So I suggest coming in quickly like I just did right there, and then try and follow through all the way across. See how it gets stuck because it stretches as you cut. And we're gonna begin to remove the release liner. This came down slightly. There we go, let's come back up. There we go. So let's get that release liner going. Tack this to the fender side right there. Keep this side elevated and peel this up. The film this is harder to remove the liner on because the film is stretching as we pull the liner off because it is a TPU type of material. So it is much more pliable than cast or polymeric films that you might be used to using. Okay, I'm a little bit short on this side. We're gonna adjust the film. That's okay. Should lift really nicely, and you can see that it is. This prevents any marks in the film when it lifts that nicely. What I'm gonna do now is I'm also gonna wet on the underside now that it's elevated, or now that I've loosened it. This is just gonna help the finish come out even that much better. Okay. Pull that nice and tight, get that hooked around the back corner there. Nice. Same deal, I'm gonna lift this side up. Yeah, there we go, that released really well. Means it's nice and wet. So this is like a hybrid installation, right? We're doing wet and dry apply with this. I undid my side over there, so I'll have to adjust it again, it's okay. Let's get that situated there, and let's get this fixed up again over here. Beautiful. Undo that. Corner's covered. Let's check the corner on the other side. That's covered as well. And then now we can trim out some of this extra material. Just to get it off the window. So some areas you can do dry, some areas you can do wet. It's totally up to you. I prefer to do the horizontal surfaces, like the hood, wet. Large flat areas, roofs, wet. Even a door, you can do a door. And it doesn't matter if you get fluid in the recess, it'll all push out. So let's just try to check over here. Let's flatten out a couple of those guys there. Perfect. Look how nice that's sitting. Let's wet the surface. The drawback to doing a wet apply like this is your edges will take a little bit longer to dry. That's all. Okay, so we're gonna do a patting motion. Perfect. Squeegeeing so beautifully right now. Go back and forth. Overlapping. Like I said, you're gonna see imperfections in it just because the actual PPF wasn't perfectly done. PPF that's underneath it. Okay, we're gonna come around this section here. So that's a recess, you can see that. And we'll squeegee that out in a second. See how nice this goes? And it makes the finish come out like glass. You can go down. And the fluid with enough pressure squeegees out perfectly. Even if you were to leave a little bit of fluid behind, it's just gonna dry out anyways. Very similar to a gloss PPF. So right there, that's my recess. Let's come around that. Still have the other side to go back to doing. It's okay. Let's get this finished up though. Simple, right? No air stuck, nothing. Okay, so now we have to get the fluid out of this section here. You can use different types of squeegees for that. I'm gonna use a softer squeegee, a bit more pliable. Let's make sure the surface is nice and wet for this. And we're gonna go up with it. So let's just check. There we go. I like to follow through with my hand. Kind of get it in there. And then come around it and kind of just hold it. It's not gonna bubble out, don't worry. See that? A little bit more. Okay. You'll see how this looks perfect in a moment when I dry it off. Okay, I'm just going over it again. Always be extra thorough. Beautiful. Let's do here. So same thing. Let's wet it a little bit more again. Just to give us that bit of glide. And then come in with your hand. And you can see it's already staying down in here. It's suctioned, right? Come in around it and get that fluid pushed right at the top. You can go down if you want with it. I just prefer to go up in this situation. It's just personal preference. Sometimes it just makes more sense to go the other way, but other times it can just be personal preference. Okay, go through it. Let's run through that because that's our critical point right there. And we want to make sure that we've got all the fluid out. Okay, I'm gonna go get a cloth. We'll dry this off on the surface and have an inspection before we go any further. Let's dry it off, and this will show us better if we've left any fluid behind. Now, as far as purity of the finish and the film goes, it is 100% line free. And if you do this when it's too dry, or if you do this entirely dry, I find that the finish doesn't turn out as nice. You get a few lines here and there. So I've got some bubbles up here, got one there, one there. It'll be a little bit difficult to capture that in camera. See one there, one there. It's probably gonna dry out. There's one right there. And then you can kind of see swishing around. There's one right there at the very end. So we just wanna follow through with that. And the beauty with having the air release pattern is that going back afterwards to push out the fluid, it still works really well. I find it actually works better than clear PPF. It's an interesting concept because it just works better than clear PPF. And clear PPF's been around forever, but I find that if it had air release in it, it'd probably work even better, give you a bit more of a chance. You can see I didn't have to babysit anything. I didn't have to wait here forever for that to stick down. It went down. And you know, even with clear PPF, a lot of times you're still sitting there babysitting. So I find that this is a perfect balance between just ease of installation and the effect of the material that you get in the end, which is paint protection film. See another bubble right there. So let's bring this one down, right down to the bottom. And that went right out, and that was all the way in the middle. Again, if that was clear PPF, that would have been much more difficult to get out, maybe not even possible. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna trim off some excess material that we have kicking around, because we definitely have too much. And we want these edges to be exposed so we can throw some tack solution at them. Tack solution is basically, it can be a water alcohol mixture, it can be just water as well. But that's gonna help rinse away the baby shampoo and allow the film to adhere better at the edge. Okay, now what I have here is a little bit of alcohol mixed with some water, and we're gonna tack our edges. So we wanna rinse all of this, so we don't have to sit here and wait forever. Plus, it's important to just get rid of the soap from the edge. Okay, so you can see again, my edges are not fully down yet. Just fold that back, but we're gonna go over everything here, since we have the tack in there, and press firmly and get that the rest of that fluid out with our tack solution there. And that should keep our edges down much better. Okay, we'll even do the back. The hard part of my squeegee is not gonna hurt the film. This is, again, paint protection film. It's not harm the film in any way at all, actually. And any swirl marks there might be, they'll just heat out. Okay, so let's just see if we can get this down and around the edge right now, or if we have to let it dry for a little bit. What you can do is you can accelerate this with a heat gun, so you can dry your edges a little bit faster with a heat gun. Now, normally you wouldn't be able to do that with a clear paint protection film because you're gonna haze and mar the material. While this is opaque, so you don't really have to worry about hazing out the material because you can't see through it. So in a sense, you might be damaging, but you would never know that you were damaging the finish of the film because first of all, it's at an edge, and second of all, the film has color to it. So what I'll do is I'll get a heat gun and see if we can accelerate the curing process here. So here, extremely loose fitting. So you can see it's not trying to go down at all. So we're definitely gonna move on from that one. And that's most likely because the fluid is dripping forward from the underside of the hood now. And the beauty of this as well, another nice part, is it's slightly thinner than standard clear paint protection film, which makes it mold around your edges and your corners much easier and much nicer. It's looking really, really nice. How nice my corner can be here is subject to the corner that they did, because they actually went around. Got a little bit of fluid there, there we go. They actually went around the corners on the back. Most shops don't. So they did do a few good things, but a lot of shops don't go around the back corners. See, that's like their wrinkle right there. I'm overlapping it right now, so it is what it is. Obviously, most things don't hit the back corner, right? So a lot of shops don't go around the back corner, which is understandable with clear PPF, but with color change, we have to, because we want to obviously cover all of the color. Oh, that's that bubble up there, so I can see that through the PPF right there. It's pretty evident. I'm just trying to squeeze the fluid out around while warming it, and it is working. You can see my distance. I have the heat gun set on the hottest setting, and you can see my distance. How much heat this is getting, this is a 1,000-degree heat gun, it's rated at. How true that is, I have no idea, but it's rated at 1,000 degrees from 2 inches away. So I'm controlling how hot this gets by distance and time. Again, that corner won't stay down just yet, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on from that corner there because you don't wanna sit there and fight stuff. Just come back to it in a little bit, wait for it to dry a bit more, and eventually it will start to go down, okay? Because as you can see, nothing really went down at first, but it is beginning to go down now. And how much more time am I spending doing this entire job all around the edges? And I'm not gonna do every panel wet, guys, just some. But how much more time am I spending? Well, look how easy it was to squeegee it down and get it set up. I mean, it's not the hardest hood in the world to do, but still, even on a large hood, even on like my Jaguar, or even on my minivan or my Jeep, doing it with a wet apply is pretty damn fast. Okay, let's check the front over here, because this is where it wasn't sticking for the last time we went around. Okay, it's better. You can see a big difference from that first time I went around. Big difference. Check that out, see? Now we're actually seeing an edge there. Yep. And it might take you a little bit longer to go around it, but totally worth it in the end because you're getting a much nicer finish than any other gloss material on the market. If it's not TPU, it is not going to be the highest gloss finish that there is. Other than that, you're getting something that's resilient to stone chipping and is going to self-heal from scratches. So maintaining it much easier than maintaining a paint job or even a regular wrap. I'm gonna give that a little bit longer. I'll come back to this in about 5 minutes and see how it's doing. All right guys, we're gonna give it about 5 minutes or so. We're gonna go around the edges a bit more and then we're gonna do some cutting and that should be it. So let's lift this up and let's wrap around these edges a decent amount. The corners, we won't be wrapping around as far as the straight edges because you can't really wrap around the corners too far without running into an issue of bunching of material. So corners are extremely picky when it comes to how much material you have going around them. There we go, and that loosens that up a little bit. I'll just leave that piece hanging there because it'll get cut off with the rest. And then now I'll be able to wrap around a little bit nicer here. There we go, with less tension. Somewhat of a relief cut. Now, when they did the PPF on this car, they did little slits on the corners here. You can sort of see them right where my finger is. Don't worry, I'm gonna be trimming out those wrinkles there, but you can see right where my finger is, right there. There's a little slit there. That's pretty common when you're going around corners with clear PPF. Each one has it, so let's go over to this one here. You can see another one right there, right at the end of my finger. Little notch. And then every single corner has this. Like over here, there's another one, just to show you. So if I pull my material flat there, you can see that little notch right there, right at the corner. I mean, that's okay. That's around, when the hood's down, you're never gonna see it, so. And that's very common when you're going around and doing a bulk PPF, especially in clear. Okay, let's make sure the back section here is good. So we have a lot of trimming to do. I snapped the blade off so my blade is fresh. This is a fresh tip on this blade. You want the sharpest blade possible before you start cutting. This way you don't have to push hard. So let's start down here and let's go up. I keep my finger mounted to the edge of the hood, balancing here. So this way I can glide along that edge and have a nice straight cut, or as straight as possible. I'm just moving with the panel as I go and I'm pivoting. Now I have to take a step, so I stop, step backwards, slide again. And again, I'm not pushing hard at all. So I want to come right around wrinkles and come back down like this. There we go. And continue along to the next one. And same thing here. Come up and around my couple of wrinkles and then back down again. Basically cutting on the PPF that's already there. Except their line doesn't even have to be straight because you can't even tell if it's not. Well, I want mine to be as straight as possible because it's a color change and it'll be noticeable. Same thing there. Good, here we go. Take a step back again. A little bit wet there, come around these couple of wrinkles. There we go, those are gone. Back out again. Let's get down here. Now I'm kneeling, best possible position. You can see my hand can be a little bit wobbly, right? So I need to stabilize myself against something solid. I'll eventually hit the fender here somewhere. Coming down to it now, there we go. So I'm gonna stop for a second and then carefully do the last little section here, straight as I can. Okay, that's not working, so I'm gonna cut from this area here going up. There we go. So you can see my edge is still a little bit wet because the film is lifting slightly. That's okay though. We're gonna push all that back down. Just make sure you pull the film away from your edge. The last pass with heat is a very important pass. First of all, it's gonna push your edges back down in case they did lift up, which they usually do, even with a dry application. So just consider that, even with a dry application, you always go over with a heat gun after you've cut. Make sure you pass through all edges. So you can see how the edges smooth out a little bit nicer as you pass by this last time. Like see that, for example, that's kind of lifting up a little bit right now. So when you heat that, you can see it's bumpy, right? When you heat that, and just pass over top of it. Heat it again, pass over it again, that should be good to go. And I personally like to be extra thorough when it comes to installation. Some wrappers will say you're over wrapping. I don't think there's really so much, I don't think there's such a thing as that. I think that you should do always what you expect of yourself to do and what a customer might expect of you to do. Jobs like this are not inexpensive and people do not have to get them done. This is a luxury. Even at paint protection level, it's still somewhat of a luxury, right? But again, the beauty of this is that this will eventually infiltrate the clear paint protection film market, and people will be starting to choose colors for paint protection as opposed to clear all the time, which means that we will finally be able to charge what the clear paint protection film market is charging, or even more. We're gonna be doing more work, right? So probably even charge more, and you get this beautiful scratch-free end result in the end. That hood will be good to go. We'll move on to another panel. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new with this one. See how I did a wet install with an air release film, okay? This is only possible due to the size of the air release pattern. I do not recommend trying this with regular materials because it's just probably not gonna work and you're gonna get a lot of water or fluid trapped underneath your film. If the air release pattern was larger, it would be more likely to start trapping in fluid. Since this is a lot tighter, it doesn't trap fluid as much. Again, like I said, I hope you learned a lot from this video. Don't forget to check out my website. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Take care.